Hi, everyone. Welcome to Domain Sherpa. We've got a great Domain Sherpa review for all of you today. We've got Andrew Miller, fresh off the sales of home.com and candy.com, on the show along with Shane and Drew. The Sherpas talk about some domains they recently bought, and as usual, we discuss a bunch of names coming up for auction on NameJet. We talk about the home.com and candy.com sales, along with plenty of other interesting domain deals and stories, and some sports talk as well, as we're in the middle of March Madness. My squad, Villanova, lost a tough one to Baylor, but I'm super proud of how the team fought and competed in what was a strange and challenging season for sure. But enough about that. We've got an awesome show coming up right now on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. So let's go. What's up, Sherpa Network? Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Jonathan Tenenbaum, a.k.a. JT, a.k.a. Jay On, and I am the host and producer of Domain Sherpa. Today's show is a Domain Sherpa review, where we get into the minds of successful domain investors so that we can be better investors ourselves, using strategies and tactics right from the experts. So, and as usual, there are three segments to a Domain Sherpa review. First, we start off by learning what the Sherpas have bought and sold recently. Next, we review a list of domains coming up for auction on NameJet to see what the Sherpas think. And then we'll discuss some things that are going on in and around the domain space, covering all types of digital assets, domains, cryptos, NFTs, whatever we feel like getting into and whatever is kind of going on right now. So let's go ahead and introduce the Sherpas. I'm really excited today. We've got the one and only, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Andrew Miller here on the show. For those of you who do not know Andrew's track record, he is an entrepreneur, CEO, connector, advisor, deal maker with a strong track record of strategic acquisitions, revenue, and exits. Previously, he was the founder and CEO of creditcards.com, insurancequotes.com, just a couple of low-value domains if you're into that sort of thing. Currently, the president and CEO and founder of ATM Holdings, a shareholder and advisor to Thrasio, and also president and CEO of FanCred, which is a sports and entertainment social broadcast platform. We'll talk a little bit about this as we go, but he's also involved in daily fantasy and really hip on a lot of that stuff, which I'm a big fan of. And from a domain standpoint, since this is what this show is about, he was most recently involved in the sales of home.com and candy.com, which, you know, are obviously out of this world when we're talking about domain value. So with all that said, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Excited to be here. I don't want to talk too much about my daily fantasy embarkment. The last few months have been, I'm in a slump, man. If my domain sales business is at an all-time high, my daily fantasy performance is at an all-time low.
Well, you know what they say, you know, if your entire portfolio is down or your entire portfolio is up, then you're not properly diversified.
I hear you.
There you
I
go.
agree with that. No matter
You
what,
got
it's
to be
very
winning
interesting.
somewhere and losing somewhere.
One of us has hair.
More winning than losing.
One of us has hair and one of us has glasses. It's like I'm the only one with no hair and glasses. Bad combination.
Well, yeah. So you know, I've got my co-host with me. I don't even introduce you guys as guests anymore, but we've got the one and only Honey Shane, who has a has a Zoom filter on right now, which makes you look like you're gonna get arrested at a truck stop at some point. You know, like,
well, it looks like Andrew. It looks like Drew's at a Mexican restaurant with his background. So
yeah, he's like, I want the big booth this time. And the extra,
he's like, do you guys have
guacamole.
enchilada suprema? Oh, I know you have enchilada suprema. Never mind.
You got
I'm
guacamole
just
and the
testing
molcajete, right? You do the molcajete.
Right. And I figured I'd look like I'm in crypto with this thing. So
you look like you look like something, man. I mean, it's cool. Anyway, so
in some part of the neck, in some part of the woods.
Hey, ladies, DM me.
Yeah. So Honey Shane, bhouse.com, dsad.com, get the daily lists, improve your life, make some money, follow Shane, check it out. And then, of course, the one and only Andrew Rosener, the Dirk Diggler of domain names, the market maker, #1 domain broker in the world, and founder and publisher of Ganjapreneur.com, but also the owner and publisher of Domain Sherpa, as well as the CEO and president and founder of MediaOptions.com, the #1 brokerage service for domain names in the world, Craig. And yeah, man. So so that's what it is. So we got the squad on here today, and like I said, I'm super super excited. I mean, Andrew Miller. So we got two Andrews. So we'll say Drew. I may call you Miller. I may call you Andrew. I may just but like I said, you've been involved in some of the biggest domain sales. I mean, we've been involved in some big domain sales. You've been involved in some big domain sales as well. And
you're about to be involved in a real big one. I'm very excited to hear the end result of. But yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Media office,
Yeah, for sure. So before we dive into segment one, talking about what's new about domains bought and sold recently. But yeah, man, I mean, are you going to be able to give us some insight into either the home deal, the candy deal? I mean, what can you talk about? What can't you talk about? Either one of those that you want to share, we're all ears.
I think a little bit, I kind of came armed with a third story.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Only because what I can't talk about on the other two, but look, both home and candy were epic sales for me. And in my time frame doing this, and on the home sale, it was bought by a company called Fairway Mortgage. And what's really interesting, Fairway Independent Mortgages, Fairway's a really unique company. And Fairway did $65 billion in mortgages last year. That's big. Yeah. Okay. Just to put that in perspective, almost more than majority of those, I think, I don't want to be exact, but 80% of those were done on the street, which is, with retail domain, more individual brokers, right? Okay. Walk into the office, call your friend who's your mortgage broker for Fairway, and they help you originate the mortgage. Okay. They're originators, so they write their own loans. Go to the other end of the spectrum, Quicken Loans, which owns Rocket Mortgage, did $330 billion, almost all online, all direct to consumer. So what's Fairway's goal? Fairway, an incredibly successful company, obviously, wants to close the gap and believes they can between 65 billion and Rocket's 330. Well, how can they close that gap? It's not going to be with brokers on the street, right? Yeah. It's going to be with direct to consumer online. How do you do that? Home.com. And that was the strategy, and that was the plan. And there's a $260 billion gap to close, leveraging that domain and leveraging the internet. And I think, the domain will be worth hundreds and hundreds of millions, if not billions, to them if they even remotely execute, which I believe they will, by the way. I think they're going to knock it out of the park. They're really talented team.
Yeah.
So that's home.
Yeah. Well, and real quick before we jump into the next one, and I think that is like the prototypical, use case, perfect, big deal type of thing that just makes a ton of sense, right? So like you said, they've got a certain amount of market share. They want to get more. There is a clear opportunity for them if they can actually own their digital footprint, right? And if they, and I've got some friends that are mortgage, and everybody, a lot of folks in the mortgage business are killing it. There's a lot of money out there. I mean, and it is a business that is booming and bumping. And so
funny how people come running when they're giving away free money.
Yeah, exactly. So and at the end of the day, it's like one of those things.
Yeah.
No, what are you gonna
say? No, sorry, I don't want to go down a second.
Oh, you about to go on down that road? Okay. Hey man, but yeah, no, all good.
I was just gonna, start shooting bullets at the Fed again.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, no.
One thing, by the way, on the domain, just Larry Fisher and I did this deal together, and it was really awesome to work with Larry. And this deal was dead. This deal was dead on arrival a few times over the course of a few weeks, and everybody was patient, and we educated, and we kind of walked through it, and why, and got it. Which I'll come back to in a little bit, got it to, 0 to 60 in about an hour, which was my kind of third domain story. Yeah. So, it kind of goes to show that sometimes these things takes time, and the right situation, the right trigger, the right moment.
Yeah. And the right people. I mean, and shout out to Larry, he's an OG as well. And, yeah. And like I said, I mean, this is one of those perfect use cases where, and it is one of the top domains in the world. And, and it's now will be utilized literally in the exact sort of fashion that it should be used to get them the opportunity to extract the most value out of it. And it's awesome that you guys were able to help make that happen.
And we always talk about a champion, right? So there's a woman, Jessica, who is the president of digital at Fairway recently, right? She's been brought in to help close this gap, and she's a superstar. And when this first was dead, she was losing sleep at night, not realizing she may not have it.
Yeah.
That's how badly she understood it and wanted it.
Oh,
and ultimately we got her it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Working together and working with management and getting them over the finish line. So
Sure.
she's going to do big things with the domain.
Awesome. Super exciting. All right. So let's talk candy. Or can we talk about candy?
Not a lot. It was a pleasure to do a deal with Amanda. She's awesome. She's my friend here in Boston. We go to Soul Cycle together. She's my buddy. I think what I will say is this, at some point it will become obvious sooner than later, who bought the domain, I assume.
Okay.
And I think everything will come into focus at that point in time, and be pretty obvious. And this is going to be, whatever I expect it to be a massive brand and home run when all's said and done. Sweet. And I can't say a lot more about it. Unfortunately on that one, just,
no, all good. And Amanda Waltz at Saw, and she's our people's as well. In fact, the first show that I ever hosted had Amanda was the guest, and big shout out to her. She's a good people's and very, very good at what she does. So yeah, and that's what I think is also great too. I mean, for the folks who've been in the space long enough, right? I mean, you realize too, like, there is collaboration between folks, at the broker level and the seller level, the buyer level, like to get these deals done for these huge domains, because there's they're not cheap, right? So and it takes sometimes a village to make that happen. And the relationships are key, the right people, knowing the right people, having the right network. I mean, all of that kind of stuff. And so it's and it's awesome.
And I worked for, out of college, I worked for now my friend, certainly not my friend at the time, Michael Milken.
Okay,
and the one thing, he taught us he spoke to, it was an 18-month training program. He spoke to us for about a minute and a half of the 18 months at the time. I built a relationship with him many years later through his charity, through Prostate Cancer Foundation and Milken Foundation. But he said, have other people, make sure you have other people help you write your tickets, because 50% of something is worth a hell of a lot more than 0% of nothing. 100%. And I've kind of always stuck to that and adopted to that. And,
sure. And it's proven successful. So, and working with good people, smart people, connected people. I mean, it's like, and then, and the network grows from there. So it's all good. And so cool. So you got one more story then? Is this?
We can make it a quick one. I actually, Elliot Silver wrote about this recently, but it was I sold the domain name betcast.com to NBC Sports, most specifically the Golf Channel. And, what's interesting is I think I did with some of you guys, I don't know who was on it, but I did a NamesCon panel about the one that got away. And I, owned podcast.com in 2004. And, now it's owned by Amazon, and that wasn't for me. So
we sold it. We sold it.
You guys sold it to Amazon, right? And so it was not for me. So it was the one that got away. But I saw a similar opportunity because I'm in the sports space and I'm in the daily fantasy space, and I'm friends with the founders of DraftKings. And I saw this kind of betcast thing coming. So I connected. I was initially was going to buy the domain. And
real quick, is the price is it public, or are you going to be able to disclose
no,
it?
But it's a solid 6-figure price.
Okay. Well, and if you were actually going to disclose the exact price, I was going to say, then let's just segue into segment one. But since that's not, you're going to have to disclose another name in the segment then, but go ahead.
Okay. Solid 6-figure price, but a really great price for the seller and I think for the buyer. But anyway, the crazy thing was we were trying to buy, and let's keep this for under a minute because it was in the Elliott story if anyone read it, but we were, part of the deal with Fairway was we were trying to buy fairway.com. And it turned out that was owned by NBC, and they didn't even know they owned it until I told them. And it was under the direction of the Golf Channel. They had bought a company, inherited the domain name. I connected I have a relationship with NBC Sports. I connected to the head guy at the Golf Channel, and we made an offer and we made another offer, and he went dead and silent for 2 weeks. Not a word. Wouldn't respond to my texts. We even have a mutual good friend, and just I'm like, all right, he obviously doesn't like the price because they're not using the domain. They didn't even know they owned it. Then on a Friday night, someone sent me a link to a story about NBC and the PGA entering a relationship to betcast, starting with the Phoenix Open that week, Waste Management Open. And I shoot a text message to the Golf Channel guy at NBC and say, hey, I happen to be advising on the sale of betcast.com. What do you think? And within, after going dark for 2 weeks, I got a text message back in under 20 seconds, want to trade it for Fairway. And that I said, we can make that math work. I knew based on what my seller wanted on Betcast and Fairway was willing to pay, I knew we could make the math work. So I go, if you're serious, we can do that. And, within a couple of days, we had a deal. What's interesting is I don't think the home.com deal happens without that. So Larry was always like, oh, if they buy Fairway, they're never going to buy home. And I was like, Larry, relax. I actually think it's the opposite. I think if I can get them Fairway, they will buy home. And got them Fairway through this random maneuver of horse trading, as Elliot called it. And I texted the CEO of Fairway, who played college Division I high level Big Ten college basketball years ago. Okay. And I said, hey, I just pulled off the greatest Danny Ainge. Got you Fairway. I traded Betcast for Fairway. Now let's go get Michael Jordan. He doesn't grow old. He won't retire. And he's the greatest in the world, ... home.com. And I will say this, within an hour or two, we had that deal agreed to.
Wow. That's awesome, man. And so that's what it takes, man, making it happen. That's deal making and horse trading at its finest. And the results speak for themselves. That's awesome, dude. Well, congratulations and nice work. Cause that's just, obviously it's a big splash. It's huge event and sale and a couple fantastic stories, embedded in there as well. So it's all good. And
unfortunately, I don't really have a great, I don't move as many names as media options by the hour. So I don't, I don't have anything too recent that I can think of that I can talk about the price. I'm trying to think about this here.
You filled the time pretty well. Those are some pretty good stories in there.
So no pressure, man. It's all good. We've got names we could talk about. No problem. We can, and we're not under any obligation to have three. Okay. So no, but that was and I think super interesting for the, the folks who listen and, just how those deals got done. Again,
the horse trading deal is even better than the home.com deal. I mean, obviously the numbers aren't the same thing, but it's like, those are the ones that actually like, you kind of, you feel like, okay, because it's
that takes luck,
a
man.
hell of but it also takes but it also takes the initiative and the sure, you got to get lucky on the response, but you got to take the initiative to get lucky.
I mean, what are the odds that I'm brokering Betcast.com? I mean, random, kind of a random.
Luck is what happens when opportunity meets preparation. Because at the end of the day, we talk about it a lot. We say, man, it's really funny how lucky those hardworking, smart people are. You know what I mean? Because it's like,
I hear you.
So, and what I think was really cool, the nugget that I appreciate is the, kind of talking dude's language regarding, the, equating the domains, to Michael Jordan and everything else. Cause it's like, and you're 100% right. It's like, imagine if Jordan, was literally like, like made at like a cyborg, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
it's good forever, man.
Isn't he?
Wow. LeBron kind of is until he got hurt most recently. But, when you talk about durability from
Brady might be. That's the better analogy.
Brady too. Well, but I think LeBron, when you see how easily it is, I'm a big Sixers fan, right? So, and I'm holding my breath every time Embiid plays in a game. And it's not because he's necessarily fragile, although he's had a lot of injuries in his history. But, it's just the fact that basketball is the game, man, where it's like, and obviously football too, quarterback, not as much as a running back and other, contact sort of positions. But, and you look at LeBron's durability over the years, as big as he is, and and that's pretty wild to me. So it's but yeah, Jordan too, man. I mean, I don't remember him.
Look, the point is, and the other point was, you could always, and he won't get old, he won't retire, and you can always trade him for more.
There you go.
Right, because you can resell the domain, right?
So. Yeah, 100%. So, wow, that's awesome, dude. So, all good stuff. All right, so with that, then, which one of you two guys has a domain that you recently bought or sold that you want to put up here in the conversation?
Let Drew go, so it can at least come down a little bit. You don't have to go all the way to the floor from that picture or from that story. You got something, Drew, or do you want me to fill the gap real quick?
Hold on, I just all of a sudden my my headset like connected to the phone instead of the computer.
Are you on El Toro's? Is El Toro's Wi-Fi not working well?
I thought.
I'm back. All of a sudden, my headset just randomly connected to my phone out of the blue for no reason. It just changed from my computer to my phone.
Yeah. Well, I thought you were going to say it connected to my phone, and it was a call that came in, and we just sold this name for
Yeah, exactly.
$200,000.
Well, actually, we actually, like, literally at the start of this, we just sold a domain for like just a small hair under 8 figures. Like that, and it's not Satoshi.com. That's entirely separate. But yeah, I got that email from Chris that that deal just closed. That's going into escrow right now. Well, it didn't close until the money's in, but
Yes.
yeah, that's just like a fine hair under 8 figures. So that's a heck of a great sale.
What domain?
I can't. Is
Is it the one Chris posted about last night? I saw one.
He's gonna start. He's gonna try.
It was.
Well, Drew, you got kind of quiet though with your.
You need a new microphone. Take the 8 figures and buy it.
I see. You know, for what it's worth, I've sent Drew the specs on all the tech that he needs to get for for the purposes of these shows, and he's on his like 8th pair of AirPods. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
Yeah, but like, okay, is it better now?
A little bit.
No,
yeah.
Not really.
You might just need to get louder. Be like, can you hear me now?
Get loud. Let's get loud. All right. Audio settings.
Microphone
switch all the way up.
Drew, what was the name?
All the way up.
What was the name? Oh, Digital Art. That was the one I think I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's not it. That's not an 8-figure name.
What was the
name?
Domain. There was a name that you guys were brokering that I thought that Mark Cuban should buy instead of Lazy.
Wall.com. Wall.com.
Thank you.
Somebody needs
we
to
own that. We own that.
Okay.
We own that.
Got it. That's the one I was thinking it was. Okay.
Yeah, Lazy was a lazy choice of that domain name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like they literally looked.
Drew hit the nail on the head. Drew hit the nail on the head with this post I saw, which was, it was. You said lazy. I'm going to take it a step further. It was cheap.
Yes.
Yeah. Stupid. It was like, it was just like a matter of convenience, and you're just you're a billionaire. Like, don't be a cheap ass. Like, that reflects on your reputation personally, that you're going to go to market in the hottest new market. You're going to try to enter the market with some bullshit brand just because you already own that shit for 10 years. Come on, Mark, get your shit together.
Come on, man. That's lazy. And and I saw it looks like cool, like it looks like a cool platform. I saw them hyping up. They had 100,000 signups already. And so somebody is, whether they want to take advantage of wall.com or someone else is going to come in and get it and do it, it's going to end up being like that. When you talk about the best domain name for that purpose, I mean, there it is, and it's going to happen. So whether it's them or whether it's somebody else, it's going down.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you.
We're going up.
Pretty much what I've observed in my life is that it's the third wave in anything. It's the third wave that makes the money. And so, the rising tide will lift all boats. He can go out there with dogshit.com and he'll probably get the exact same number of signups. But, it'll be the third wave of these NFTs. His first wave.
Didn't Mark have like a Snapchat
out.
Competitor? Remember when he came out with that Snapchat competitor?
Yeah. I like.
He's never
Mark,
done anything but Maverick and Broad.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Broadcast.com.
Mark's done a lot of things. We only know about 2.
Yeah, but he's
be clear,
invested in a lot of good people.
broadcast.com.
Don't get me wrong. Mark is the man. I like Mark. I love you, Mark. But
I just wish he wouldn't dance so much. He just doesn't need to dance.
No, look, everybody should dance more.
There you go.
But yeah, no.
Everybody should dance more.
From,
Very good for you.
Well, it is true. Like, dance like nobody's watching, dance like everybody's watching,
go.
Whatever it is. Live life to the fullest.
He's really hurting my TikTok feed. He comes up way too often.
All right. So can we talk about a domain where we can actually throw a price out so that we can do what we do? So,
Pressure's on Shane.
Yeah. I mean, I'll throw one out there. It's a really exciting one. I mean, you guys are going to be super, super, super excited. By the way, when I lowered my 4letter.coms, they really started moving. I'm not going to bore you with them, but the other week when I said I lowered, I sold 2 more of them in that $5,000 to $9,000 range. Yeah. So I think I'm going to keep them there. It seems to cash flow pretty well. But I bought a name that's good for what I do. I bought OrganicLawnCare.com.
Hold on, let me write it down.
Nice.
I got to go over here to the other side of the room and write it down.
Yeah.
Organic
Big
lawn care.
business.
It's on a chalkboard in the
True
bathroom.
Lawn, I believe. TRU. Yeah, it's a big business.
Oh yeah.
They pitch me every
Are
day.
you wait,
Buy
did you this a buy or a sell?
A buy. I just bought it.
Okay. All right. Organic lawn care. I mean, lawn care, I've tried to buy every single domain in the lawn care space for a couple of two clients that I've had that have hired me for that. And they're expensive. There's nothing available that's like, reasonably priced. So organic lawn care, I mean, it's a pretty spot on name. I don't know what the search looks like, but like,
But you pay for it.
I bet you. Well, that's
the whole
got to
point,
guess,
That's your
man.
job.
So I would say like you probably paid. I'm gonna say $1,000. I could see you probably paid less than that. You probably paid like I'm gonna say $800. $800. That's where I'm gonna land. But I think it's worth probably quite a lot more than that.
All right, so Drew's at 800. Mr. Miller.
Not knowing where you bought it.
Are you gonna use this, or is this just in a portfolio?
I don't do lawn care, but I also sell to tons of lawn care people. And I know the industry. I mean, just like you said, lawn care, I can buy BLLawncare.com, I can buy those all day and flip them constantly.
Yeah.
There's thousands of people just in my city,
Yeah.
2,500.
All right, and I will jump in the middle there. So he says 2,500. I'm going to say 1,500 is my guess. And so they're all in. What's the
all right, Andrew is the closest I paid. I bought it at GoDaddy auctions, $23.50, $23.70, somewhere in that range. And I just set it at $5,000. I just set it at $5,000 and went to work. Like
it's a great name. It's a great name. I was just pegging you for being a cheap bastard.
I'll pay whatever if it fits. Like, I paid five figures for Uncomfortable, and I bought propagation.com for 5 figures.
Yeah.
If it fits in my wheelhouse, I can
it.
do it. But I just think, that that's a big, it's always been a trend, but it's even more so. No chemicals in the lawn.
Oh yeah, 100%. And
Good.
I think that, like we
Awesome.
saw, one of the trends, COVID trends, was all sorts of people spending money on home, everybody's home, right? And that's, more people are gonna be home than ever before. And that's gonna, that's been the trend, but it'll, even as people go back and, plants and lawns and all that kind of stuff. And the organic lawn care is key for anybody who has pets, because, people don't want their pets out there like running around with all those pesticides and other things. And so, I dig it, man. Good stuff. All right. So Drew, do you have a name that you are going to put out here with an actual price on it?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's go with
Satoshi.
let's go with
That mustache is killing me, man. It's so funny watching it disappear.
All right. Bought this one, Scarcity.com. Scarcity.com.
You're gonna release. Oh, I saw that.
Scarcity.com.
You sold it.
No, I bought it.
He bought it.
Okay.
All right. I'm out on this one, but you guys can.
They're tough.
I might tell you too, just because Andrew doesn't have one, and because the other one's kind of fun.
All right. Yeah, and I got one too. I'll throw one out too once we get there. But all right. So Scarcity. Which one of you guys wants to? Oh no, it's the other way. Oh, that's still wrong.
Man.
And I'm trying to point.
You go, Andrew, because I
think it changes on the recording, JT. To be honest with you, because sometimes you're like, yeah, this guy down here, and there's like, it's like, a girl.
The pressure's on. I'm this is a game show. I'm up 1-0.
Yeah, exactly.
Price is right. I
Price
was
is
over.
right. You know what?
I was over.
We should actually can we make this into something like a little more exciting? Can we actually bring some like prizes or money or something into this game?
Yeah.
I would have lost because I was over on chains.
Going forward.
We don't do because otherwise people try to game it. Then it'll be like, okay, I'll just if Drew
I'll take
at
$1
and Shane.
I'm going to say 17,250.
Oh wow, that's pretty specific. 17,250.
Well, you got to stay under.
We just do closest to the pin, man. That's it.
Closest to the pin.
There you go.
And I know Drew, if it's an NFT name right now, he puts a bigger worm on the hook right now. So Scarcity. I'm gonna go higher than that. I'm gonna say 48,000.
All right, 48,000.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I do not have I can't,
Yeah.
because I know. So, all right, Drew.
But do you though?
I do.
Okay. Scarcity.com, 30 grand. 30
Who
grand.
was what Andrew say? Oh, I think I still won.
250.
Andrew wins again.
I think, I mean, 17 would be an absolute steal. But I think 30 was a great deal. I mean, you know, I literally the day before I bought it, you know, I actually had this deal teed up for about 2 weeks. And I was on the fence and I was like, I love this name. It kind of defines the entire value proposition of financial markets right now. 100% of value is driven by scarcity.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And then, and I was kind of on the fence, and I was like, you know, but does that mean it's a good brand? Like, who's good? And then, Jim Cramer had a tweet literally saying that. I couldn't believe it. It was like exactly what I was thinking for 2 weeks, thinking about this name. And then Jim Cramer comes out with this tweet, and he's like, the entire market is driven by one word right now, ... scarcity. And I saw that, and I was like, I literally went downstairs, opened my computer, emailed back. I was like, all right, I'll take it. So Jim Cramer sold that name.
Yeah. Shout out to
but
Mad
I like
Money.
it. I like
He's an Eagles fan.
Yeah. I mean, scarcity.com, it's like, for me, you know, being just in the digital, you know, asset space, it's like, you know, domain names, value driven by scarcity, you know, and utility, obviously. Bitcoin, purely scarcity. You know, growth stocks, purely scarcity. It's all this stuff. It's like, you know, in a world of zero return, zero safe return, it's just everything's driven by scarcity. You know, gold, silver, platinum, all the metals, everything, oil.
Yeah.
So I like it.
Dope name. Big fan. All right, cool. So Miller's got.
Might even make it my nickname. You know how like Kim.com changed his name? Trying to find a country that let me change it to scarcity.com.
Scarcity.com. Yo, that's my boy Scarcity. Yo, Scarcity. Is he gonna be? Where's he at?
You from Scar City?
Yeah.
All right, so I've got one, which was a buy on my end, and SportsPodcast.com. SportsPodcast.com. So since Miller's a bit of a sports guy, I thought I could.
You told me. So
yeah, I think you're out on this one. Yeah. So
yeah.
All right.
I'll go first. I will say, since you're on a Jacksonville budget, I will say
Ponte Vedra Beach, man. Ponte Vedra.
That's a great name, though. I mean, that's a good
for Jacksonville.
For Jacksonville. Although they're about to get Trevor, so it's about to light it up. I'll say 2,600.
All right. 2,600 for Shane. Mr. Miller.
You know, Khan lives right down the street here too, by the way, you know?
Does he?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
He's never home anymore, though.
Yeah.
I would say 6,200.
All right, 6,200. Well, I paid a good bit less. I did buy it on that Jacksonville budget. I got it for $1,000. So
that's a good buy
for it. So, yeah. So one, you know, if I can ever get Drew to let it,
I may have a buyer for you.
All right. Well, let me know. I know you got your peoples at Barstool. You know,
they're not going to buy it, but I may have a buyer for you.
All right. Well, holler at me, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
So yeah, because I don't know if Drew will ever. I'm trying to have him let me do a Sherpa Sports podcast, you know, and we'll get it cracking. And so speaking of which, who do you guys? So Gonzaga wins going to win the national tournament. Anybody have an opinion?
They'd be tough to beat. I mean, they're like
Baylor's the only team that can run with them.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's going to be Baylor. Although Houston, that's the beauty of this time of year is you get step it up at one moment and hit your free throws.
No question.
Yeah, and you know Villanova hung with Baylor for a bit, but they were banged up, and that was we knew that was going to be a tough one. But I think Baylor's the only team that probably can give Gonzaga a game. I think Gonzaga still will take it. Houston, they're one of those teams when I watch them play, like I don't feel like they don't look good. You know,
That's because they're wearing tight shorts. My wife and I already figured this out. So their shorts are the 1980 shorts. So they're higher. So they look like they're awkward and they look like they can't play. But that's because there's so much leg showing and running around. I'm telling you, watch the game again and look at their uniforms. They just look lanky and like awkward. And it's all because of their uniform.
Like, you know, they
Gonzaga hasn't had it. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, yeah.
Gonzaga has not had a legitimate, I would say, hardcore test other than, week 1 Kansas. But I mean, they've had a much softer path, and someone's going to step up and, if somebody can get them into a 2-minute, 3-minute fourth, second half, 1, 2, 3 point game, I think that that's what it's going to take.
What do you think the line will be on that? If it's Gonzaga Baylor, what do you think? Gonzaga favored by 3, 4?
4. Yeah, I was going to say 4.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Look, Michigan, I don't believe Big Ten never does it for me, but Michigan.
Yeah, but they're peaking at the right time. I mean,
they look good.
Yeah, they look.
They're big too. I mean, they can play.
They look good. They're huge.
Yeah.
They're huge.
Tall trees, man. Tall trees. So, all right, good stuff. All right. Well, with that, that's the end of the first segment. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go hear what our sponsors have to say. We got a new media.
Oh, I forgot.
Commercial.
I was going to drop this other one.
Oh, do it. Bonus round.
Well, so, I had announced that I bought few.com.
Yep.
And then I turned around and sold it like 2-3 days later, which was not anticipated. In fact, I didn't even want to sell it, but it was double money, and it was more than double money. And it was like, you can't, it was like emotionally, I didn't want to actually do that deal because I bought it with the intent that this is like, a 5 or 10x name. And I really like the name, but it was like, when somebody comes along 2 days later, you get more than double. It was like 2.5 of your money. You can't say no. It's just, you got to put on the business hat. And you guys say, okay, so I did that deal, but I had a little bit of seller's remorse. And then I was thinking about, what do I like about few.com? And I thought, I like AFew. It's like AFew. AFew is almost a better designation for the scarcity that is communicated through few.com. And so I went out and said, all right, let's see what AFew.com is worth. And I bought that one. So what do y'all think that one went?
All right.
A few. And it was just a reach out, like he went out and nobody came to you.
Yeah, it was a reach out, not a reach around.
They both work.
Come on, Shane, this is the tiebreaker.
No, well, let's see. So Shane got the sports podcast. You got the other two.
Shane got no.
I'm up.
Shane got Shane got the 40,000 closer to the.
Yeah,
I was only 10 off.
Oh, okay.
Right.
No,
I forgot about sports podcast.
No.
Yeah.
Scarcity was 30,000.
Yeah,
Shane,
but I put 40.
I said,
and he said 17,250.
I thought you said. I thought you said 48.
That's okay. Math.
Right.
They don't focus on math in law school.
No.
This is why. You know what?
So let's go.
I'm gonna let that go.
You're up first, Shane. What do you got?
A few. Well, I will say he's got few money in his pocket. I'm gonna say 14,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this was emotional. We had the seller's remorse. We had a nice profit of a few $100,000 in hand. And I'm going to go up there and say 67,000.
Whoa.
He's
Hey, go ahead and give me the trophy there.
Is
there the trophy in the bathroom?
17 on scarcity.com is 67 on
Emotional.
I like
He's getting to know you on the show.
I like it.
I like it on the
I
sell
like
side.
it.
All right, go ahead. Tell him.
I got it for 10.
All right.
Okay.
Shane with the
I got it for 10. So anyways, but whether or not I ever sell AFew.com is irrelevant, because what it did is completely alleviated me of my seller's remorse for a very, very, very small fraction of, what I actually sold Few.com for.
Yeah.
Good.
Good stuff. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing we'll start doing in post-production, we'll maybe start tracking, like have the, almost like pardon my take or one of those things where it's like, or the
Yeah, the scoreboard. But you
yes.
just do like no, just do the hashes.
Yes, the hashes over who's got the amount. Maybe we'll try and fit it in this time. We'll see if we can get it to work. So anyway, with that, all
You should
right.
do it like a chalkboard, like
Yeah, that style.
digital chalk. Yeah.
All right. I like it. All right. So with that, first segment is done. We're going to go ahead and jump to hear from our sponsors. We got the new media options commercial as well. So check that out. We got a lot of gold in that piece. And so
We like gold.
yeah, we do. We love gold. All right. So, and when we come back, we'll be back on Domain Sherpa here with our panel, including Andrew Miller. We'll see you guys here in a minute.
Media Options is the industry's leading domain broker specializing in domain acquisitions, high-value domain sales, and domain name consultation. As pioneers and thought leaders on the subject of the domain aftermarket and domain name value, plus through their clear domain acquisition service, Media Options offers startups and established corporations an unparalleled scope of high-value domain options, providing access to domain names and curation technologies not available elsewhere. Media Options believes in the power of a great domain name and is dedicated to helping you obtain yours. Call or email today to put a domain to work for you.
Welcome back, everybody, to Domain Sherpa. We are on to the second segment, which is the NameJet list. This section is sponsored by NameJet. All right. And we're going to review a list of domains that are heading to auction soon. So if you like any of the domains that we talk about, please make sure you check them out so you don't miss out on the opportunity to get your back orders in, especially because all the domains on the list are expiring domains, which means they go to private auction. So for those of you who don't know, it means if you don't have a back order, then if and when those names do go to auction, you will not be able to participate without a back order. So make sure you get them in. And then as we typically ask the group, I know it doesn't matter because they're all expiring, but none of y'all are selling any of the names on the list.
Nope.
I mean, I know you're not because, again, they're all expiring. I don't even know why I asked that when it's like that.
2 weeks in a row.
I got to take it off I'm taking it off the script. Tell Siger it's off the script. That's it. Anyway.
Stick to the script.
Stick to the script. All right. So with that, I sent you guys the list also for the audience. Just a reminder, go ahead and download the spreadsheet that we attach to the podcast description, which will give you the list of names, the amount of back orders as of the taping of the show, how many days are left as of the airing of the show, along with a couple of the other data points that you can get from Estabot, which will give you just a little bit of insight into these names so that you can better track and participate in those auctions if you're interested. So with that, a couple recent sales, since we're also tracking that now, which I think is pretty cool. We got so the Bee's Knees. Y'all remember the Bee's Knees? That sold for $2,400 pretty much. So I thought that was actually a pretty good buy. I thought that was a good price for the buyer. I didn't think that was.
Where do we pin that? Do you know where we pinned it in the show?
No, I think that's the next thing I got to do is I got to go back and start.
So saying, what was that domain?
The Bee's Knees.
And Shane didn't buy it?
No,
I looked at it, but I got so many bees names and I don't. Yeah.
I almost wanted to buy it here to him, but I got him on that Jacksonville budget. You know what I mean? So I was like, I can give him a jar of honey, but once it got up over
jar of sand.
Yeah, exactly. Greeneye.com sold for $7,100. So Green Eye, which I thought was
wow, it's steep.
That's what I thought. I thought that was on the high side. Clubpass.com sold for $4,000. Clubpass.com, which I think that was a little on the high side, probably because of some of the Clubhouse stuff. Although I've been spending a lot less time on Clubhouse lately, I feel like. What about you guys?
No, I haven't been on in weeks.
Oh man,
that was in my my unpopular take was on my agenda for our what's going on final segment.
Okay, well then you know what?
my rant on Clubhouse.
All right, let's wait. Let's do it, and we'll save it for segment 3. Okay, and then 2 that are still going on. Crowdsourcing.com is still got 2.5 days left. It's about $9,000. So, that one I think is going to keep climbing and do its thing, which I think makes sense. And then City Motors, which we talked about. And I know Shane, you actually said you like it.
I like it.
That's got a day left and it's just over $1,000 right now. So I think there's still a little meat on that bone. And, so that's where some of these are at. They're more recent sales and the stuff that's still pending. So as of the time this airs, City Motors will be closed, but crowdsourcing will actually be closing like that same day. So it'll be interesting to see how high that one gets to. So where do you think that one closes at?
Which one?
Crowdsourcing.com. It's currently at $9,000. It's got about 2.5 days left.
Crowdsourcing?
Does it get to 15?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, probably.
If it's already at 9.
Yeah, it might even go to.
Should.
Another one
go higher.
Another one that's bumping right now that's going to close today is eShop.com, which was a pending delete domain, I think, that was caught in the drop. And that one is currently up at $70,000.
I'm pretty sure I once owned and sold that domain many.
Did you say
years
So
ago.
7
it was a
grand?
Microsoft. It was a Microsoft
70.
domain, and I mean,
Right.
when I saw that go into pending delete status, I reached out to my boy Microsoft, and I was like, "Hey, I'll give you 10 grand for this name right now." And so they went back to try and get it, and but it was already too late. And it was just too late. And
that's too bad, man. That would have been a great pickup.
yeah, that thing's popping. I'm a little shocked at how high that's going, though.
Yeah, and I think, so it's 2 hours and change. So this will be closed by the time this airs. Let me see what the more recent, I'll tell you based on.
I sold shop.com
Was
many
active.
years ago.
I mean, it says 70,000. 70,000. I mean, we're kind of past. It's like in a world where everything is on e-commerce, particularly right now, there's no such thing as commerce except e-commerce.
Yeah.
It's like eShop is almost redundant, right?
Yeah.
eShop.com, it's almost redundant. It's like if you're going to go to shop online, it's kind of by default.
Yes,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Andrew, you
I mean,
sold
I'm not saying
shop.com,
it's a bad brand. I like
I
it,
sold
but
shop.com, yeah.
that's got to be an end
Long time
user at 70 grand, no?
I
Or
don't
somebody
know.
that's
Currently it's
fronting an end user.
It looks like it's a Snap Names bidder at the moment, and it looks like it's maybe one of the Chinese platforms. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's
So-
one of these.
So
Yeah,
so it's bumping.
It's
So
interesting.
yeah. So all right.
that's
so-
crazy, man. That's a heavy.
Yeah.
Not for an end user.
No, not for an end user, and that'll be interesting to see if that's where it ends up. So, but I think it still maybe climbs a little bit more, maybe not. I mean, again, 70 with like 2 hours and change to go, maybe it gets up to 80K, but it's a lot
To
of
get to
action
70,
there.
there must be two players, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, there's a couple.
Yeah.
There was actually like I think at that it looks
Well,
like
there's this guy, the Axe. The Axe has been in there. I love that name.
the axe,
But the Axe has been in there just chopping away.
Yeah, the axe has been chopping wood. There's 4 bidders over 50K. So
Yeah,
so I think you're going to see a little bit.
and I
more.
recognize 2 of them.
Yeah, and the Axe was in on something else I was watching recently. I forget which one they won that I was like.
The Axe. I haven't been paying close enough attention to the other bidders. I got to start looking at the names.
The Axe.
Yeah.
Well, it's so funny because back when, when I was running NameJet, we used to watch. I mean, we would watch the auctions it was like TV, and plus during the big the China wave, it was like first against 2-2, and those battles happening in real time. I mean, and every time a new bid would come in, we'd be like, yeah, it's just like. Battles. It was a lot of fun.
I saw first.
Back in the day, like in that year, in that 2015, when anything that was scarce was just popping off. It was a 2-letter, 3-letter, 4-letter, 5-letter, and then obviously 2-number all the way to 6-number. I think there was even maybe a few days where 7 numbers were a thing, and it was just everything was just liquid and popping. And that's when I had the idea. I was like, man, we need to have like a sports commentary show. Like the idea for the Red Zone for NamesCon literally came from 2015. I was sitting in my office in Panama. My buddy Parker was working with me at the time, and we were in there watching the auctions and participating in the auctions. And he's got the gift of gab, and you met him. You guys were freestyling in Vegas, actually.
Yeah.
And,
Shout out to Parker.
And
man.
he's a hardcore sports fan. And unlike I don't know if I've ever met anybody in my life who's a bigger sports fan than he is. And he knows every stat from the inception of sports. And and he was just talking shit and doing commentary through the auctions. And I was like, man, we need to have an auction commentary, like live auction commentary. It would be so hot.
Yeah. Oh,
I remember this is I don't know, 15 years ago or something, when Sahar had Bido.com. I think it was Sahar.
Yeah.
And there was Bido.com. And when it first launched, they changed it very quickly. But when it first launched, it would be like, I don't think it was Sahar. It was somebody that was managing the platform for Sahar, I think. Might have been Sahar. Anyways, and he'd have somebody on there. It was one guest for every day. He'd have one guest, and he'd bring them on. And they'd talk through the end of, the closing of the auctions. And, they were talking off topic and bullshitting, kind of like we're doing. But then they'd come back to the auction and, talk about the names. And it was hot, man. That kind of hooked me on the whole domain auction thing in the very early days of my career, at least. And, I feel like that's hot. I think I even told you when you were running NameJet, I told you that you should
Yeah, it would have been kind of cool if we could have done something like that every once, whether it was daily or every once in a while or weekly or whatever. But the key now would be to find the platform where, it's got that kind of activity. It's not like it was. Where
Well, like Discord and Slack are all off on the side. Like I'm on Slack channels we're all just chit chatting about things going live.
Oh, that's cool.
Why doesn't anybody invite me to any of this stuff? Nobody's ever invited me to a Discord channel, a Slack. I mean,
they invited you to the Mexican restaurant that you're sitting at.
Nobody likes me.
You're at least at the quinceañera.
I know I'm abrasive, but I'm a nice guy.
It doesn't on text. They can't tell. You can't put exclamations. There's only so many exclamation marks you can put on a text.
It's so funny too, because I've asked a few people that are in these big, domain investment Discord groups. And I'd be like, yeah, just get, can't you get me an invite? They're like, yeah, no.
You're going to buy up all this stuff.
They're like so-and-so's in
No,
it.
yeah, I'm
really,
I'm blackballed, man. I don't even know how that, I don't know.
I'll bring you, it's like bringing your uncle to buy the bar tab. I'm like, hey, yeah, you can come and drink. Of course. Absolutely. They bring the check and I just look like this.
You look like Uncle, man. You look like Sneaky Shane with that mustache.
Yeah.
Man.
All right, man. All right.
Like your belly up in the spot right now. All right. So
no, you remind me of, there's a dude you remind me of. It's oh man,
it was
hold
some
on.
crypto guy, right?
No, hold on. The guy from the Matrix, the one that becomes a rat, the one that flips sides.
Oh yeah, he's Joe Palantonio or whatever was in The Sopranos and stuff. He's Cypher.
Cypher. Yeah. You remind me of Cypher. You look just like Cypher.
Oh,
Cypher. All right.
Cypher from the Matrix.
Yeah,
I
man.
can
He
see
sold
that.
them all out, man. Sold them all out. He wanted to go back.
Yeah.
He's like, plug me back in. I don't care. This steak
Yeah.
is real.
Speaking of Parker, he used to have the best T-shirt. Dead rats don't squeak.
That's solid.
Yeah. So, all right. Snitches get stitches. With that, let's slide into. Let's go ahead and slide into the actual part of the show that we're supposed to.
The actual names.
All right. So we got this list.
What is it we do here again?
12 names. Yeah, we make money, man. That's what we do. We get to the bag, son. So with that, all right, we got the list. Who wants to go ahead and talk about some names they like, names they don't like, what you think that you would be interested in, what you think some domain investors would be interested in? And
You want to stick with your order? Drew, Shane, me?
let's do it.
Or you don't?
Yeah. Well, we try to stick to the order. These guys are really hard to keep in check.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Drew.
I'm not really into order.
All right. Well, all right. If I'm going first. So for me, the name I love is Porto.com because I'm here in Portugal. Porto is the number 2 city, obviously famous for the port wine. I'm suspect on this name though. I've already gone after this name twice. Every year it gets renewed. That's it goes through the whole process, but somehow these dudes just pull it back. Microsoft couldn't pull back eShop. But somehow these dudes managed to pull that shit back.
They couldn't pull back eShop because by the time you saw it, it was in the pending delete list, which meant it had already been deleted and was now once it gets to that point, it's interesting because I don't know where eShop was before, what registrar, but I don't think it didn't go through expiry on NameJet.
It was CSC. So by the time it leaves CSC, it's just check.
Exactly. So it hits the drop and then there's nothing they can do. I mean, I've been through that process before trying to pull names back out of the drop. There's, VeriSign's like, nope, we're not doing that. Cash machine go burr. You know what I'm saying? They're just like, and it is what it. Although they'd still get the renewal, but they don't care. And so anyway, long story sideways. That's why they couldn't pull eShop. Porto, because it's still on NameJet, for the audience's benefit as well. up until a few days prior to these names going to auction, they can still be renewed technically by the registrant. So not all of these will necessarily end up going to auction. And Porto, and that could also be why it's got 184 back orders. There's still 27 days left, so it's possible that.
Yeah, no, it's got that because this thing has already gone through this process twice.
Yeah.
And, I literally, the last time around when I saw it come up for come up expired, I was actually like in a cash crunch, and we had literally just bought a bunch of names, didn't have a lot of cash. And I was like, look, I don't know what this thing's going to go for. I want to make sure I got plenty of cash. So I was like selling names. I was hustling, trying to raise cash because, the name was going to go to auction in 10 days. And I was like, I want to have 200 grand ready to go to freaking buy this name. If it's going to, whatever I got to pay, I'm going to buy it. And then, I went, I don't know. It even went to auction. It was the second day of the auction that it got pulled back. It was in auction. It had already started bidding, and then it got pulled back.
Dude, that's unusual.
So,
because
yeah,
I can tell you, obviously from being in the chair that I used to be in, that was we would never wanted to pull names. It would occasionally happen where the registrars would really apply some pressure, and then you kind of. But that is the worst at that point, or even after it sells, right? You go through the whole thing and, that kind of, and then, you deal with certain things sometimes, but, yeah. So, all right, well, we'll see. So obviously great name. It's amazing. It'll be super, super cool if it ends up actually going to auction. But, I think that's an interesting sort of point and anecdote because it does, sort of shine the light on that. So folks that participate, kind of understand how that works if they didn't know that. All right. So what else do you like then on the list?
Let's see. Okay, so I like a bunch of names on here. I like creativearts.com. I think that's just a great name. It's not, I'm not talking about in order of, most valuable. I like the name. It pops out to me as a great name. I like truemove.com, but primarily, here's what I'm going to say. Truemove.com, like it, haven't done my due diligence. The fact that there's a lot of search volume for this name tells me it's probably a brand, and you should probably go, check yourself on the USPTO before you, go throwing a bunch of money at this.
Sure.
But in theory, I like it, but I like it because it makes a great brand. But really, I like it because it looks like it's got a lot of traffic, which is probably because it probably is a brand. So, so once again, go check yourself on the USPTO website. Do your due diligence. This is not financial advice. This is not investment advice. Just, do your homework. It's good advice in life. And I'll let these other guys chime in.
I think you're on mute, John.
All right. Yeah. So, okay, cool. Well, no, and I think, and I think that's a good piece of advice for folks in general is just obviously do your homework before you spend real money on a domain name. And, one of the things would be to go to the USPTO.gov website and see what's going on. And obviously, talk to an attorney if you got any big questions and there's some real money involved. So, all right. Well, with that, so who's next on the list? That's you, Shane. What do you think, man? What do you like? What do you don't like?
Yeah. That's the first thing that came to mind for creative arts. Isn't that a movie studio? I felt like it's
creative artist. That's CAA.
Creative artist. Yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't it be great if we had an IP attorney who sponsored this show that we could refer people to with all these complicated intellectual property domain questions?
It's in the budget. We'll get that. We're working. We're just trying to sell that NFT of him rapping, and then we can get one.
Yeah, and then we'll pivot and start offering that.
And we'll pivot.
No, I didn't.
He'll just be sitting in the corner.
I've got this guy's hands already too full.
Yeah.
We don't need to bring him IP business. We need one of the cheap ass IP attorneys in the domain name space to step up and sponsor this podcast.
Yes.
So that we can refer so much business to them that they come back to us begging for a renewal.
Yes, exactly.
So
with that,
we're going to earn it here. So I'm a big modern anything. I know it's kind of boring, but modern tech, I think just the word modern seems to make the other keyword behind it seem more up to date. Mm-hmm. Online calculator to me is probably if you build it out and make it super easy to use, is probably the easiest build out traffic builder in the whole group. Can you monetize it? I don't know. It's going to be like 1,000 different buttons trying to get you misclick every time you hit some, those kind of websites. But I'm sure Online Calculator has huge, I didn't look at the search volume, but I can't imagine it's not the best of the group.
Except Google, I noticed because Drew's suckered me into exchange rate calculator. Google now has a calculator for everything, right? So
literally built into the search bar. Yeah,
exactly.
You don't even, but people still type in the name Google in Google to find Google. So that tells me that people, people still.
So modern tech, right? It's got
what's that song? Radio killed the something.
Video killed the radio star.
Yeah.
First MTV video ever. And so modern tech, $569 appraisal. There's 42 back orders. There's 20 days left. Shane, what do you think you pay for that name if you're a domain investor?
I think $1,500.
Okay,
probably. Yeah, that's the kind of name. I bought like Modern Gardener and Modern Garden. Those kind of just. I thought they were nice names, and nothing on here to me is you're going to not sell your domain names to buy any of these names besides Porto. But even I, honestly, not being familiar with Portugal, would see that gone crazy and thought these guys are crazy. Even if I looked at it, to not realize the true value. But you get a name like Speed City, and that could be a race car company or some gas station. That just knows the value there. Excuse me.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then, again, I like the concept of virtual patient, but we talk about this all the time when these categories are big, boutique shops and designer wear and all these are great categories. But if you're starting a company, you're generally not going that generic when you're starting it. You're going to represent that, but you're going to have a cooler name than that. Now there's people that'll say, well, what about this or that? But that's category killer products like mattress and things where it represents one big item. Virtual patient. Yes, you're the virtual patient, but it's probably going to be eDoc or, some other cool name like that, in my opinion.
So as the last one before we move over to Andrew Miller, what do you think virtual patient, if you're a domain investor, what are you paying for that domain thinking in order to get a return?
I think it still goes for $2,000, $2,500 because people are going to think in their minds, this is a $20 billion, it's bigger than that, but online patient care is definitely one of the biggest growing, fastest growing in healthcare. That's where you want to be. Virtual patient to me is not the great killer brand.
So you'd avoid that one if it gets up above $1,000, $1,500. You're not in on that, right? Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't love it.
Okay, well that's good. I mean,
I like it better than you guys do. I mean, I think anything that touches telehealth right now is good, and
I
it's
agree
a little bit. It's virtual provider would be better, right? But I mean. I actually think it's a cool brand, and I think it has. I think it's intriguing. Honestly, I think it's intriguing.
Where would you go? How high would you go on it?
I don't think it's a name I'd probably speculate on, but I could see this. Look, I could see this. I think it's a really cool brand for somebody in the telehealth space.
It's not cool enough that you'd spend your money on it.
I might. I just don't know if I want to spend the time like marketing it, right? And waiting around on it. But I think it needs a little bit of outbound marketing and love to it. It's not going to be something I think your phone rings for inbound for anything great. You may be able to sell for $4,500, but I think outbound it has some interesting appeal. I'm thinking about it. I don't know yet.
And what else you like on the list, or what else don't you like?
Me? Well, I think it's really interesting today. Super Ship jumped out at me with the evergreen, being freed up here finally. But I normally would not, but I thought it was that's kind of a cool name. I wouldn't have thought about it if it wasn't for the Super Ship being stuck in the canal. But it's kind of a cool name. I kind of like it. Not as a brand, I just think it's cool. And some of these cruise lines that eventually come back with, the next super ship, right? Like, if it's
Cruise line,
whoever
shipping,
introduces
postage,
the next
that
one.
kind of stuff.
Interesting. Obviously, I like homefinancing.com. I mean, that's I mean, look, it's the
Shouldn't your
keyword.
guys buy that? I mean,
Maybe.
yeah, I know you own if
Maybe.
they own home.com, I mean, obviously they got their bases covered, but really what they're going to be doing is, home financing, right? So it's kind of
No, they're actually not.
Good,
They're actually building a massive portal that's going to do everything from listing of homes, lead gen, selling homes, financing, wholesale, retail. They're going after it. But with that said, look, I mean, I don't think I just think their appetite to buy domains after home and fairway is low because I've talked to them. I have people I'm getting pitched 10 to 15 a week domains a week to bring to fairway. Okay.
Yeah. It's also hard to get excited about anything after you've just bought fairway.com, which in its own right is already an amazing domain. But like fairway.com and home.com.
Look, you'd have to have a keyword strategy, and they do have a SEO strategy there. So look, I'm going to bid for homefinancing.com.
It's like you just got a divorce from Pamela Anderson. It's like somebody steps up and introduces you to like, Rosie O'Donnell. It's like, I think I'll skip dinner tonight.
Edit, sweet.
But she's got a great personality, though.
Right.
Yeah, she does.
I think.
No, I just meant
that was the only thing I was like super excited about.
Couldn't you do better than Pamela Anderson?
Like, oh my God,
like 58?
This is going to be the best television ever. This dude is going to literally nuke Rosie O'Donnell. He's going to literally nuke her. Like I expected him to really use his presidential power to I don't know, kick her out of the country or he was going to do something crazy, but he let that opportunity pass.
Wow.
That would suck though that the person you're fighting with becomes president.
Can you imagine? It was like I just thought all right, come on, Rosie, just leave. I mean, it's like you got no chance. Might as well just leave while you can.
Yeah. So anyway. I may bid on this.
Financing. It's like that Bronx Tale. It's like that Bronx Tale scene we talked about in the last show. It's like Trump got the keys to the White House. He went out there. He's like, now you just can't leave.
Oh man. All right. So with all that was good. Let's so what else you got, man? What else you got, Andrew?
I mean, I think I'll look, throw in on home financing. I plan to bid on homefinancing.com to a level. I don't know to what yet. See where it goes. I think boutique shop's interesting, only because so an area that I'm involved in a little bit is live streaming e-commerce. So live streaming e-commerce is a mature $160 billion business in China right now.
Oh, wow.
And
we're talking QVC, right? But online?
Live streaming e-commerce, stream live, sell product, click and buy.
Yeah. All right.
There's a company out of Benchmark just financed called Pop Shop Live that's doing it. It's an app, mobile app that lets anybody live stream from their little boutique shop. They're almost all boutique shop. I bought some I wanted to try out the app, so I bought some. I bought my wife some wrapping paper, a couple rolls. She's an event planner. I knew she would like, for like $4.89 on this live stream, and it came in the wrapping paper came in a box the size of I thought I got a TV, and I don't know how they did it, but
what you would order it. It's like,
yeah, exactly. I was like, what is this? And and it was weighed zero. And so I think boutique shop is interesting in that regard. For me, the two that jump out are Super Ship and home financing for very different reasons. One's a keyword, right?
Yep.
Home financing, and one's I'm kind of into the Super Ship. I like it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different cool opportunities and things, like you said, cruise ships as they come back. I think, and they're always this bigger, better, how much crazier stuff can they do and put on those things. And then,
actually, I think the trend is now going to more luxury and smaller.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, but I guess the idea of the
anti-coronavirus boat.
Yeah, that's true. But I think it's the idea for me. Super ship doesn't mean just size. It also just means like features and you
Yeah.
know and all that kind of stuff. So it's like
Yeah, my interest in it is more as a brand. And it's funny. I mean, if you play daily fantasy, right? You know, when you win a daily fantasy large field tournament, a GPP, you know, it's called you shipped it, right? So,
okay, super. I like it.
you know, championship ship abbreviation, but the slang is I just shipped it. You know, I just shipped it whatever last night, and so I like it.
That's interesting. Just as a like from a tournament sports type of thing,
Yeah.
super ship. You know, like
I'll be there.
And like I said,
I'll be there.
shipping and
I'll be at the table bidding for that one.
So, all right, cool. Well, and then, so I think we covered almost all of them. The two that we haven't talked about that I like speedcity.com. I think that's a cool name. I don't know. Is that a brand? I mean, I just can see that being a bunch.
Yeah, we talked about it. It sounds like a gas station to me, though.
Yeah, it's probably
Sounds to
it
me
probably
like
is also.
Sounds like to me in the 60s and 70s, you clean up selling amphetamines.
Speed City, son. No doubt. Uppers all day, you know. But
What a great name.
We're no longer a family friendly show, so it's all good. But yeah, no. And then what about most dangerous? Most dangerous. Is there any
That's what they call me?
Yeah, exactly. The most dangerous.
Yeah, it sounds like a DJ.
You know, I guess that's the thing. I put that on the list. I mean, I don't know that I love it. I don't know what you use it for. I think it's one of those names that's like, it's cool. So you kind of buy it because it's cool. But, you know, is there any application for it?
There's a famous short story that I never forgot that I read as a younger, student called The Most Dangerous Game, which is,
okay.
If you haven't read it, it's kind of an all-timer. And
Is that the one where they hunt the guy, right?
Yeah, they hunt the people.
That's
they hunt
fantastic.
each other.
Yeah, they let him go.
Yeah. And there's been a recent adaptation of it, I think, for TV called something similar.
Okay.
So I think it's called the same thing, Most Dangerous Game, and it's or The Dangerous.
Yeah.
So
That was one of my favorite short stories.
Well,
great short story. Crazy.
Dangerous. Yeah. I mean, it's maybe, escape rooms kind of stuff. I don't know, so I think it's, it stood out in the list. So I thought it was interesting and threw it on there, but, all right, cool. Well, with that, I think we did, I think we've gone through and talked about all of them and provided some interesting insights. So appreciate that, guys. So with that, we'll take our last commercial break before we come back for the third and final segment here on Domain Sherpa with Andrew Shane and Andrew Miller. And we'll see you guys back here in a minute.
FD was built by domain investors to increase your inquiries, sales, and profit. Forget spreadsheets and archived emails. Manage your entire investment portfolio in one place using a secure and completely confidential platform. Learn more at ft.com. That's EFTY. FT.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to Domain Sherpa. We are on to our third segment, which is the industry update or what's going on. So this is where we basically talk about industry trends and general updates about the domain space and otherwise. So with that, let's go ahead. We got you, Andrew Miller, as the lead off here to talk about some things. I think earlier you mentioned, you gave us a little preview. We got a Clubhouse rant coming. So you want to
say a rant? I wouldn't say a rant. I think, and I do have a couple domains I can throw out there that I'm, shamelessly to promote that I'm overseeing the sale.
Promote those first.
We can do that at the end.
No, promote the names first.
So I'm pretty excited. I told Drew the other day, I'm kind of overseeing the sale of SPAC and SPACs.com, both. Very, very hot area and in finance, and got both the singular and the plural. So pretty excited about it. I'm in some pretty interesting discussions already. And
I think that we should invite Howard Lindzen and Chamath on the Domain Sherpa, and you should host a live auction between the two of them.
There's one guy bigger than both of them, by the way. I forget it's Steven. I'm blanking.
The Citadel.
Yeah.
Griffin.
I think we should form a SPAC and buy them.
Griffin.
That would be the best.
Or Griff. Yeah, it's Griff. Or Griff. No, what's his name? Griffith. Griffin.
Yeah.
Griffin.
But anyway, I think it's funny. Chamath put out a
that guy buys $100 million real estate properties like it's like I buy Uber.
Wait a minute.
Chamath put out a pretty bearish thread this morning, but
about Steve Cohen. Is that
him? Steve Cohen? No, not Steve Cohen.
No,
He's BlackRock. No, Griffin. His name is Griffin. He runs Citadel Capital. He literally is like.
Anyway, there's lots of buyers for SPAC and SPAC. So talking to a couple, one awesome company. So we'll see where it goes. But then I'm not going to say yet, so I don't want to say it, but we're excited working on an awesome name with Larry again.
Oh, very nice. And it's Ken Griffin, isn't it? Ken Griffin. I think.
Ken Griffin. Yeah, that's it.
Ken Griffin Jr.
I think you had them kind of combined.
Yeah, mixed up. You know,
so, we do live fact checking here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains. But all right, well, that's what's up.
Shout out to Ken. Come up on Domain Sherpa Live and buy that SPAC.com.
Yeah, SPAC. You know, I mean, and it is a super hot space, you know, and you know, so obviously all you know, I'm interested to see how that shakes out. That's going to be really
we're getting some creative discussions going on, and then
real quick, and that reminds me, because I thought about it earlier when you were talking about some of the big deals, you know, the early deals. But that's one thing that I love about domains. We talk about it a lot as a great equalizer, right? Because, like, you know, if you've got access to some of the best domains in the world, well, then that puts you in some of the most interesting conversations with some of the most important people in the world, because it's like, it's one thing that it's like, if you've got the domain that they want and they need, then all of a sudden you're in the room with, you know, and you know, with CEOs and CMOs and, you know, of some of the biggest companies and some of the coolest folks. Like, it's just really, really neat. And that's one of the things I love about domain names, you know.
You know what we call that? Scarcity.
Yeah, talk to my
when I had creditcards.com, you know, I had a relationship and strong connection to Sandy Weil, who at the time, you know, was chairman of had rolled up everybody, Travelers and Smith Barney and Citibank, and you know, I got Sandy on the phone in under 4 minutes with creditcards.com, not to buy it, but they were instrumental in our business success as a partner. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you on that, and definitely already having some of those conversations on SPACs and SPAC, and excited about pretty soon I'll, you know, say the new domain I'm working on with Larry, and have interesting. I have an interesting domain. I just agreed to help someone sell today. I'll actually be curious about everybody's take on it. I like it. It's not my typical one worder, but it's Be Bold. BeBold.com, and there's a lot out there with it, and pretty intrigued about it. Just getting underway here yesterday. So
I think it's great. I like sayings and colloquialisms, and, you know, and a lot of those kinds of things. The more familiar, the better, you know, the more broad, and, you know,
I get refused to quit. That's mine.
Love it.
To quit. I'd rather have refused to lose.
I would love it. I just want to do the work.
Do the work. Yeah.
Very Bill Belichick.
But I like Be Bold. You know, Be Bold is great. You know, it's almost like if you have a company.
No, Belichick's know your role.
Is it?
Yeah, isn't that his thing? Know your role.
Do your job. That's right.
Yeah.
Do your job.
So but what was I going to say about Be Bold too? You get a company that wants to use Bold as their, you know, and can't get bold.com, you know, so it's like,
well, they can't. Bold.com was just acquired. So actually,
so that's
very recently.
So Be Bold gives them an opportunity around that. And there's obviously a ton of different campaigns and all sorts of cool stuff that can be done with that. So I
agree. I'm kind of excited about it. Then, you know, I get the other ones I've been working on a little while: walk.com, sugar.com, ladder.com, sword.com, to name a few. So a lot of conversation. Iconic.com, Drew knows. A lot of conversations going on. So real quickly, because I'm going to punt to you guys. It's funny. I was just in a text message. You guys both said, I think with Braden, but I was just in a text message with someone this morning about Clubhouse, and you guys were both saying you haven't been there in a while. And, you know, early on, I said kind of the same thing. I read a tweet from a thread actually from a very, very accomplished multi-exit entrepreneur a few days ago, who said Clubhouse is for people who want to spend the day, have time kibitzing. It's like for fun. It's if you want to go spend 6 hours shooting the breeze with people socially, and you have the time to do it, it's awesome. Really a great place to do that. Therapeutic, fun, but, you know, I think from a domain standpoint, most of what's going on there is just a complete colossal waste of time and a time suck. And you know, and at the end of the day, right, different from the private Discord or Skypes or you know, where there's obviously and I thought the best Clubhouse I've seen to date, and I was late to the party, was your guys, you know, during the auction. And I only, you know, was alerted to it because Elliot texted me, "Are you the one buying White Elephant?" And Amar was on, and I came on to discuss that. Purchase awesome. whiteelephant.com, which I did buy recently.
Able to do that right in real time. And,
like that was a vetted group, professionally managed. It was, you know, it was Sherpa brought to life on a platform. So
yeah,
a little bit of a different story.
that's how I kind of see this playing out. And you were right, by the way, because I got very overzealous on Clubhouse.
You invited me. You're my
yeah,
invite.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're part of the.
And then, but
the
you
leadership.
called it. You said this is gonna flame out, and I agree. I think it's flamed out. Where I do think it makes like sort of a rebound, unless somebody else leapfrogs them, is that they were first to market to sort of like magnify the opportunity in voice only, right? Because I love it. I love the concept of voice only because it's so informal. You can be on the toilet, you can be on the living room, you can be with your family, you can listen, you can join in. It's just, I think it encourages more engagement. And I think that it also is a better equalizer for engagement. And in many ways, I think the technology is a paradigm shift in communication and entertainment. But I think that the only way it succeeds, or the only way that you can gain real benefit from it, is through these organized, scheduled, basically like, turning it into, almost
broadcast network.
Yeah, broadcast network. Yeah,
a radio network. Here's
That's
our
right.
show from 1 to 2, and here we're going to promote it, and here's who's going to be on it. With that said, look,
live,
I think it's
interactive. Live,
I think it's a
interactive
phenomenal
radio.
look. Like any outlet, I think it's a phenomenal outlet for celebrities, right? I mean, if Kim Kardashian wants to go on Clubhouse and talk to people and sell something, she'll be able to do it. But she can do that on any platform. It doesn't matter what platform.
Sure.
Right. Pick your poison. It doesn't matter. No matter where they go.
And the Clubhouse, where I think that, they've got the benefit, first mover, like you said, a lot of people already have it now on their iPhones, right? So we've got the app. So if, Elon Musk is going to go back on there, if, like you said, Kim Kardashian, whatever, the accessibility is there without having to download some new shit and figure out how a new thing works, right? So I agree. And I think that just like most social media, if you have a following, you have a fan base, you have an audience, then you can continue to cultivate and exploit reach that audience, right? So,
but don't kid yourself. When you guys, Shane and Drew, both said, we haven't been on in whatever weeks or days, or you're not alone. Okay.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
You're not alone.
A couple of people, have talked about it. Like I've seen some of those same tweets. They're like, so Clubhouse is no longer a thing, huh? Or, the Clubhouse is dead, right? And, and I've gone on, and I mean, I think that, again, I think it's the scheduled shows I think are good. Trying to just go in and kind of find stuff now, like when, downtime, I find it to be sort of less, I'm less interesting. Initially it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. We hadn't been in touch with half of these people. It was right before NamesCon happened. And, all of a sudden we're like set up a room, Drew and I, just to bullshit. And a bunch of people that we hadn't talked to in months were all in the room all of a sudden that we knew, and some we didn't, all kind of engaging in a way that seems so novel and cool and everything else. It's just everything since then. It's just, it's kind of gone through these different phases. It'll be interesting to see, how it all shakes out. But
I think a good example is Warren Royal talking about, he was on and he spent the whole hour talking about bobbleheads, licensing, how he does it, how he built it, how much he paid.
Yeah.
That's a one-time thing. That was an amazing hour. Like Warren and I have spoken since, because I just thought it was fantastic. And there was so much information. We all learned from it, but that's not going to happen every week. Yeah. Now everybody's told their stories. We've all gone on there and told all our stories. And so now it's time to go build more stories. That's how I look at it. Like, yeah, that's great. I got nothing left to say between Sherpa and my blog and Twitter. You know everything. So I'm not there to talk. I'm only there to listen. And I've heard all your stories. So all of you guys have told your stuff. I'll come back when you build some new stuff.
Props to Clubhouse for taking I don't know, something like $150 million. Just from Anderson Horowitz at $1 billion valuation. Like, when I tell people sell into the wave, if you got names that are like hot because there's a trend, like when I sold NFT.com,
like SPACs.
SPACs. It's like sell into the wave. Power to Clubhouse, to the founders and the exec team, because you were at the top of that wave and grabbed that money while you could. And now you got runway to go, figure out what you can do.
What the next way?
Look, they can make it work. They can make it work for sure.
Oh yeah,
They're gonna have to do it right. They're gonna have to do it right.
But Anderson Horowitz, has got that infinity runway. Their payback period is infinity.
We know, yeah. You never want to have an infinity payback time.
Yeah, infinity. It's a lesson I learned recently about payback periods. They shouldn't be infinity.
It's like a 28% interest credit card. It's all
Yeah.
keep building.
Exactly. You cannot win.
So with that, all right, cool, man. So all good stuff. And, for folks like obviously Andrew Miller, you mentioned, you got all these names that you're working on and a bunch of different stuff. People can find you. They can find you on LinkedIn. They can find you on Twitter. What's your Twitter handle? You got, how do people get a hold of you? I know you're not hard to find for us, but if people have, just getting introduced to you.
You can find him on Google Earth. His head is so shiny.
Hey, I don't know. Let's see if I win that. I think I beat you in that contest, man. You can LinkedIn is where it's funny because I also have my Twitter rant that I'm not going to get into. I talk to Drew all the time about why you should be more on LinkedIn and less on Twitter. And by the way, Twitter is where I live for daily fantasy. That's where you live. Yeah. But for domains, I'm not as sold. But you can find my Twitter handle is amiller325gd. My LinkedIn is amiller325. My email, all on there. Cool. So I'm findable. I'm low key. I don't have a website that says I'm a broker. I don't have a commercial to play for you guys today about ATM holdings. I'm much more low key. My phone, they call me.
And if you did, it wouldn't have as much gold as mine does.
Yeah,
they call me. My phone rings. I see if it makes sense.
The thing about the new commercial that we got, it's really dope. The way it goes from all the gold, and then it's then it's the beat drops, and there's if you haven't seen it, it's pretty cool.
I can't wait to see it. Actually, I'm excited.
It is all about excess. That's it. That's how we roll. Anyway, all right, cool, man. Well, that's all good stuff. Shane, you got anything else to report to the crowd?
No, it's getting my busy season. The nursery plant, house plant, outdoor plant, it just doesn't get any busier. I can't hire any more people. I can't I just can't get any busier. It's crazy. This is literally my 2 hours of the week that I get to myself. Every other hour is somebody asking me a question or me doing something. It's a good problem. All my problems are good, but damn.
Yeah, man. Picture of the pansies was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
The what was?
The picture of the pansies.
That
was just wild, man. That was awesome.
I got 40, I don't know how many greenhouses, but 40 greenhouses that we just planted up over the last month, and they're just all brimming with flowers, and it smells so nice. And we all wear these blue sweatshirts or stuff that I wear, and I just look around and I think, damn, we built all this. It's crazy to see. And no different than you, Drew, when you're talking names, you just step back and say, one, you get nervous because there's so much cash. I literally got millions of dollars out that I haven't even paid back. I got to borrow it to put it all in. But then you look around and all these people are coming to buy your stuff. They're coming to your store. They're saying your name. And when you go to the grocery store and you say where you work, they all, that's one of my favorite places. It's just like the greatest feeling in the world.
Honey and flowers, man. Honey and flowers. What gets better?
Shane is out here spreading the love.
Honey and nectar, man. No, you are right in there. I'll say the same thing. Following your Twitter feed and seeing the pictures you post, it's real shit, man. It's when you see these greenhouses and you got them filled with flowers and people walking around doing all their stuff, and you're just damn, you got stuff, man. All that.
There's
doing things. It's cool, man. I love it.
These aren't NFTs, baby.
Yeah, and I get where people are making that crazy money, but good old fashioned business is how you make the big bucks. As I tell Drew, I joke all the time. That guy or girl that bought your domain name, she makes a lot more money because she's able to find that domain name. There's whoever's buying the domain names making even more than what that domain name is. That's where I want to be. I want to own that company that can afford those $10 million domain names.
Yeah, man.
You're on your way, man.
So, and Drew, what about you, bro? Anything? Anything else you want to close with?
We've got some incredible domain names that we're brokering. Commodities.com. We're about to ring the bell on Satoshi.com. That's going to be an absolutely epic name, but we'll probably just never get to talk about. But I assure you, it will be an absolutely epic sale, and for me personally, just very, very meaningful sale. And what else?
Are we going to ring that bell before Friday?
What's today? Today's Tuesday. Yeah, probably. That's probably going to
putting him on the record.
Yes, Tuesday, March 30th. Yeah, I don't know. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, good
but-
momentum there.
Yeah.
Then-
It'll probably
then-
close in the next 24,
And then
48 hours.
the booths are in the wedding party of Drew's second wedding.
Yeah. you know.
Hopefully there will never be a second wedding. Actually, I can
Right.
assure you that if the first one ends, there will never be a second one.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Yeah, I might castrate myself.
How do you really feel? All right, cool.
Um,
All right, a lot of good stuff.
Uh,
Anything else, man? I think we're good. You good? I'm like,
yeah, no, I mean we're rocking and rolling, man. We're buying a lot of great names. We're selling a lot of great names. The market is hot. We got just so many markets are just developing all at the same time. I feel like, throughout my career, there was always one market that was really hot, and I was always kind of lucky enough to be playing in that field in some way, not exclusively necessarily, but just I had my hands in the pot of whatever the hot market was, whether it was like insurance or it was home services or it was, mortgages or it was, health or whatever. There's been a lot of different segues, cannabis, now crypto and NFTs. I've always managed to sort of had a hand in the pot, but I feel like right now there's like, I don't know, probably 10, and I might be underestimating it, markets that are just absolutely in parabolic growth mode. It's like, crypto, obviously. NFTs is part of crypto, but that's almost like so hot, it's just separate. Then there's like health is booming. There's so much money going into the health market, and so many startups getting funding, and the funding rounds in the health space are enormous health funding rounds. And so those guys are buying names. Then you've got, online sports betting, right? Enormous market that's just opening up. Then you've got what else we got buyers in right now? It's like
you got real estate, you know what I mean? Anything in around.
Yeah, real estate's booming, mortgages are booming. It's like financial services across the board are kind of booming, unless you're a bank, then life sucks.
I mean, virtual education, obviously.
Yeah.
Virtual education,
remote stuff.
everything that's like remote and virtual and tele. I mean, it's just things are just booming. Yeah, I mean, e-commerce is booming again. It's like, yeah, it's crazy. Everything's just booming, kind of crazy.
Boom.
But I guess that's what happens when you start printing money, to infinity.
Infinity and beyond. And with that, we are out of time. So I just want to say, before you go off on a rant about, go off on banks and the Fed. This was a great show. I'm super, super hyped to get this thing out and aired. And so as usual, thank you to my panel. Thank you to Shane. Thank you to Drew. And most importantly, thank you to Andrew Miller for being on here, man. This was great. Glad we were able to get you on here.
Anytime, love it.
Yeah, great to have you on, buddy.
Later. And
nice
excited to see how some of that stuff goes, and excited to find, get even a little bit more information to the extent that some of that stuff gets shareable and whatnot. But
I think it will be.
All good either way. And most importantly, thank you to the audience. For you guys, if it wasn't for you, we would not be here. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time here on Domain Sherpa, where all roads lead to domains.